Hey there, Daryl again. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new. Today we're going to tie up a crazy Charlie for shad fishing. Originally it was called the Nasty Charlie by Charlie Smith around 1977. Was a bonefish guide in Andros Island. And it's supposed to imitate a glass minnow, which is common forage for bonefish on the flats, or probably even maybe a small shrimp. Bob Nauheim, founder of Fishing International, a global sport fishing travel agency, brought this fly back and showed it off to Charlie Smith, some guy at Orvis, can't remember, and Orvis didn't like the name for it, so then they changed it to Crazy Charlie. But that's one story. The other flip to the side of the coin on the history on this fly is that maybe Bob himself created this and brought it with him to Charlie's Haven Resort on Andros Island, and it was said that Charlie Smith, when he studied the fly, said to Bob, "That's one nasty fly there, man." Maybe something like that anyway, but who knows. And then that's what came about, was the Crazy Charlie, because Orvis started marking it, and it came out about that. So the fly that we're going to tie, I use for American shad and hickory shad. I do have some of my bonefish fly box, but primarily I use them all for shad, and it's normally not it'll be more of the bright colors, the pinks, the chartreuses, or the oranges. But why don't we go ahead and take a look at the fly and see how I tie it for shad. It's a little bit maybe different than the original Crazy Charlie for bonefish. So this is a Crazy Charlie for shad. It's in chartreuse, but we're going to tie one up, try out some different materials, maybe some orange. We'll see what it looks like. In our area, the chartreuse is the color to go for shad, but why don't we go ahead and identify the materials as I go along, and we'll tie it up that way. Alright, the hook that I'm going to use for this fly is a Mustad 3366 BR in a size 6. You could tie it if you wanted to on a saltwater hook, but yeah, this is for shad. Probably going to lose it a lot. And I'm going to tie it using some dumbbell eyes in medium. In this case, I'm going to be using black. And thread I'm going to use some fluorescent orange or hot orange in a 210 denier. And we'll just go ahead and we'll start our thread. And we'll start the barbell eye very similar to tying a Clouser minnow. And of course, I like to somewhat measure mine. And kind of look down the point or the eye of the hook to make sure that my dumbbells are perpendicular, and that they look like they are. Let's move that a little bit. And then we'll add some super glue or Zap CA to lock it in a little bit. And then we'll helicopter around it to tighten it up. And we'll move our thread back to where the barb used to be. As you can see, I have debarbed it. It does make it a challenge to catching those shad. They like to jump a lot. And the next material I'm going to use is, you can use some vinyl D-ribbing, or this here is round rubber stretch from like Michael's or Hobby Lobby or some craft store. A lot cheaper than that, and then it's round. I don't have to worry about trying to figure out the flat side. Now this is the smallest, and I'm not sure what size that is, but I wouldn't, if you're using it for midges and stuff, it would be too big, I would think. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of soften this up a bit and then flatten that. And that's a bit long, so I'm going to cut some of that off. And bring my thread back up. And then I'm going to stretch this a bit so that way my body stays somewhat smooth. And I'll take it back up to the top. The next material I'm going to use some of this, I don't know, I found it somewhere, Sparkle Flash, might have got it at a Project Healing Waters meeting where they were giving out some materials, and this is an orange color, so it kind of goes along with the orange pattern that I'm going to tie. I'm not even sure what it would look like. I kind of like the way the green chartreuse crystal flash looked on that other fly. That would be what I use there. But so I'm going to take a few fibers. And then I'm just going to wrap it down. Down and back. Trying not to twist the material. And I'll tie that off. Give it a locking thread there, lock, and snip off that. And then I'm going to take the vinyl rib, cover that. Doesn't matter, I don't think you really have to counter wrap it. And just kind of touch and turns going forward, stretch it a little bit but not too much so that you can get that ribbing effect. And this will give the appearance that the body's a little bit meatier. That's a word, more meat to it. But I can tell you, it's supposed to look kind of flashy through that, and this material doesn't look very flashy to me. But you know, I don't know what the fish will see in it. They might see flash. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm going to kind of stretch this while I wrap forward, keeping it on the bottom side of the hook. And then I'll lift it up, and hopefully I can cut it without cutting my thread. And I'll show you what I meant by the flashy part. You can see, like on the ribbing on there, to me that looks a lot more flashier than what this is coming out. But what can I say? That's what I'm getting on this fly here. On there. Next we're going to do is we're going to put the wing in. And we're using calf tail or kip tail. We take a pinch and kind of weed out the under fur or the shorts. Once you think you've got them all out, I'm going to go ahead and put it in my hair stacker just for you could probably tie it in without doing that. And again, I'll open it up and I'll pull out the fibers the direction I want them to be going. And like I mentioned before, that shad can be notorious short strikers, so ideally you're going to want this just to about past the bend of the hook or not too much. And that would make it pretty close to what a gotcha is. They're not long-tailed flies. And I'll trim off to the length I want. Counter wrap or counter twist. And then that'll get me to finish it off just behind the behind there. I'm going to put a little glue on the thread and give it a few more wraps and then do a whip finish. And there we have it, a finished gotcha. Like I said, I'm not getting too excited about this part, but I think it'll still catch fish on there. Alright, that's our fifth fly in the series for shad, and we're going to go into another fly that's being converted over for shad that's been successful for me, and that's called the gotcha fly. And the difference between a lot of it is a freshwater hook versus a saltwater hook on these saltwater versions, and also the eyes are a little bit heavier. We are using like a medium or a 7/32 or something like that, 5/16, I don't know, whatever it works out to, size eye, smaller, a medium size eye. And that's so we can get those flies down deeper in the water faster and where the fish are at, versus bonefish or a permit. We're casting those flies in shallower water and don't want a big splash or spook them, so they're going to use a lot lighter, primarily a lot of beat chain type stuff. Anyway, that'll be our last fly. The next one we'll be doing series will be on smallmouth. We'll pick out some six flies that should be able to work on fishing. If you plan to do the Greenbrier Fly Fishing Classic up in West Virginia here, and I think it's in May, and we'll talk more about that when that series kicks off, and hopefully we'll see more fly fishermen this year up that way, at least out of West Virginia, fishing for that. If you're in this area or close to the Greenbrier River in West Virginia, you ought to look it up. It is a fun event. All right, I'm Darrell. We'll see you on the water, and go out and get them shad.